Welcome, Crafty Friends. Any Collins here for Pixie Dust Designs. Today we're going to create this poppy card. Let me go over the products I use. I use the new Blooming Flourish Background die. This is an A2 size. It's a cover plate or background, and all these little pieces pop out. So you can leave them in or you can pop them out. You can even, there's the little flowers here. You can back those up instead if you don't want. But I went ahead and cut this and popped all the pieces out. Again, you can leave them in or you can cut them twice and do inlay. Either way would look beautiful. The next is, well, actually, let me pull it out and show you. This is what it looks like, right? I cut it out of this real pale peach color cardstock. So pretty. Let me grab something darker. Here it is on the white background. So that's how I'm going to use it because I want it to be nice and soft in the background. But here it is with something black behind it. So you can see how well it pops. So you can cut it and remove all the pieces, put a different cardstock behind it just to make that design pop. The next die we'll be using is the poppy die. This has a layering die, so you have all the pieces to create a larger poppy and a smaller poppy. So I have them all here showing you these are the layering, and then the little pieces there go in the center, and then each of the leaves has their own layering so that you can make the stems one color, the leaves another. It's really pretty. On the back of the packaging, you will always have a guide to help you see what it looks like. So let me grab everything here out of my tray so we can get started. For this card, I don't have a sentiment on it. I like having some cards in my stash that don't have a sentiment that I can use for any occasion. So this is going to be one of them. This month, that's what I did. I created 2 cards. If you go on the through the playlist, you can see that I have another card out there that again doesn't have a sentiment. Of course, there are a variety of sentiments that Pixie Dust Designs does have that you can use die cuts for. And I will, since I will link the store below, you can go through and pick one of those. I chose no sentiment. So I'm like grabbing all the pieces, make sure I have everything coordinating. I'm also going to bring in some ribbon from my stash. This is white with a little edging of gold, just for a little pop there. All right, once I have all my pieces, I'm going to refer to the back of the packaging. The back of the packaging shows you exactly how this, sorry, with the glare, it's kind of hard. Let me see if I can get it out of the plastic here so that you can see it better. It's sticking. I'm sorry. Okay, let me see. Once I get this out, you will see that you can see better how easy it is to layer. There. So now without the glare, you can see how easy it is to layer all these little pieces. Leave that to the side for our reference. For the poppy, you have a total of 14 dies because they all layer. I just like to tell you how many dies you receive in your package. All right, so this is our base layer. Can you see the little intricate indented little air lines? That will let you know where to place everything. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this. I know that's a lot of glue. I'm an overgluer, sorry. All right, I'm going to place this on here, line it up. As you can see, I cut the base for my for my poppy out of the darker green. That's going to help get the stem one color, and then I cut my leaves out of a lighter green, and that'll give it a nice two-tone. So once I figured out which one of these I needed for my next set, I line it up where it's indented. So I'm trying to see, can you see that? There it goes. I'm going to line this up and make sure it all goes in there properly. Once it does, then you can move on to the next piece. So I'll press that in place. And now I have to put the little black stamen, that's what they're called, the black stamen in. So I'm going to adhere only the base part, not the little, I don't know, little lashy part. I don't know what else to call it. But I'm going to leave those loose so they pop up a little bit, add a little dimension. See, it's already bringing this poppy to life. So now I'm going to go ahead and adhere the next piece. I'm just making sure I have the correct pieces. And I'm going to adhere that and just layer it right on top. Now I chose to cut the poppy floral part out of 2 shades of red. This creates a nice dimension for our flowers. You can, of course, cut it all out of the same color red and then use inks to distinguish, or cut it, the back piece, your lighter piece out of a light color cardstock, your darker pieces out of like a glitter cardstock, just to give it a little pop. You have options. I'm just giving you some of those. All right, so I'm going to add here my last petal here. There we go. And you can see how quickly this poppy comes to life. I love it. I love that there's all the indicator lines are there for you. So no work, just go, adhere and go. All the guesswork is out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get all my leaves sorted here to make sure I have the right ones. So I'm going to adhere these lighter colored green leaves onto the stems here. Line it up and stick it down. Pretty simple. I'm going to do the same thing for the other one. So now you can see how the stem is one color and the leaves are another. It just adds more interest that way. Now you can, of course, cut it and leave it all the same color. Those are your options. Or, like I said, cut and ink up. That you can do as well. All right. Get that last one lined up and clean up my mess. And first floral is done. Now I'm going to work on the next one, and that one's even quicker because it's only 2 pieces, well 3 with the center, with this little stamen to this poppy. So here I cut off that little edge. It doesn't matter because we're going to cover it with the leaf, but I also trimmed away one of the leaves because I'll be layering my florals and it was getting in the way. When I was laying it, it was just too busy. So I just trimmed it away. So I'm going to start by adhering the lighter one. On the first one, I used a darker base. For this one, I'm going to start with the lighter base. So I'm going to put that there. Line it up, press it in place. Then I'll place the little stamen and then the top layer. There we go. And the stamens, I don't think there really is a difference as to which one you can use on which. I guess there is one slightly bigger than the other. I don't know. After I put them in my tray, it was kind of hard to tell them apart. But they're the same thing. They're just little black things with the little sprayy on top. Okay. I know my descriptions. Sorry. Okay, so here we go. We got that one done. Now I'm going to place the last leaf and then we can build our card. So this did come together pretty quickly. It doesn't take very long to cut all of these. You place them all and just run it through. Here we go. Now I'm going to gently overlap these, like I said, onto our card base. But I'm going to put foam adhesive on the back of the florals. So here they both are. So cute. I think they're very pretty. Imagine making several of these, and if you don't want the stems, just cut them off and just cut some leaves and tuck them and create a little cluster. There's plenty of options. All right, so I want to place this ribbon here and tuck my florals behind it so it looks like the ribbon is holding the florals onto the card. But I'm going to need some double-sided adhesive here, some tear tape, that's how I'm going to adhere my ribbon in place. So this is, I'm going to fuss here because I think I have it sorted, and then I realized, no, I need to place these to make sure I put the ribbon in the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere my florals down first. So I'm going to grab them, figure out how I want to display them, and I want them sort of like this, the stems to kind of cross over and the ribbon on top. So I'm going to grab my little foam tab and I'm going to place one behind each of the florals. And then I'll just put some adhesive, liquid adhesive on the stems to press it onto my background. So if you grab my liquid adhesive and I'll put it on the leaves and the stems. And I did pretty good for holding it in my hand. Normally I like to place everything down and do it, but not so bad. All right, so once I place that one, I can do the same thing to the other. And then I can attach my ribbon. Now, I do this every time I do ribbons. I don't wrap it completely around the panel. I just cut a length off, and you'll see here how easy I do. I do the same thing when I'm putting twine. I cheat. I don't put the whole thing through. So I just place it where I want it. I flip it over, and I'm going to use some tear tape on the ends to hold this in place. So I want to get it as centered as possible. I'll put some tear tape right here. And it's going to, since it's cut through, the tear tape will stick through those little openings as well and hold the ribbon on the other side in place for a little bit. So I'm going to remove the backing and place it, press the edges down onto itself. Try to get it, well, not so crooked. Let me try to get it straight. Let me retry that. Once I have that pressed in place, I repeat the process on the other side. I'm having difficulties here. Sometimes tear tape is easy to remove backings, not sometimes, not so much. Once I get that off, then I do the same thing. I line it up and press it in place. Then I can flip it over and make sure everybody's nice and flat and good. I see that it's moving or it's too lifted in the center. So I'm going to grab another little piece of tear tape and I will place that in between the stems there and the ribbon. So I'm going to remove the backing. If I can get my pokey tool in there. Once I do that, I can press this in place. There. Now the ribbon's on there and it won't move. Well, besides sticking to my desk. All right, now I can adhere this panel onto my desk. Again, I chose to cut and not use a sheet of adhesive before cutting. You can do either way. Obviously, it will stick here. It just takes a little more, time to put the liquid adhesive on. But if I would have thought thoroughly, I would have put some sheet adhesive onto the cardstock and then ran this through my die cutting machine. But, sometimes we think things out properly, sometimes we don't. And this was one of those times. So I'm going to go ahead and put the adhesive all around the edge, and then anywhere where I have like a more solid area, I will put adhesive. And then I'll press this into place, and this is an A2 size, so it will cover the whole front of my card, which is 4¼ by 5½. Again, I left it with the background of the card showing through, so a nice white coming through, because I want it to be really soft so that the flowers stood out the most. You can, of course, put any color cardstock you want behind it, or cut it again from a different color and do the inlay process and inlay all those pieces. All right, we're going to attach our bow. I'm going to grab a quick, what do you call these things? A mini glue dot. Whew, there we go. And I'm going to place that there onto the ribbon, and then I will push my bow on here. I pre-tied my bow off screen because no one wants to see me struggle with that one. And I'm going to just place it. So it'll appear like the ribbon has been tied around it, but it's just the way we set it up. It won't be all the way around, and it minimizes the bulk. And now our card is complete. You can leave it like this, but I like to add, as you know, a little extra bling to my cards. So I'm going to add a few red tiny gems here, little tiny rhinestones throughout. So I'm just going to put them here and there. And I realized that little piece right there was lifted. So I'm going to put a little adhesive behind it and push it. That was the background. It was popping up for some reason. All right, so once I put the little dots of glue throughout my card, I will place all my little gems on there. And I have some close to the floral and then some around the bow on the bottom, slightly off screen, and I am sorry. I didn't realize that. I was too busy gluing things down that I saw were loose. There we go. And it's one right here by the leaf. If it's really popping up, I'll just, like I said, put a little dot of glue behind it and press it in place. There we go. I think we're done. one more towards the bottom, which you can't see because I'm slightly off screen. But I will move it up here in a sec. Yeah. And there, all complete. Super easy to create. The poppies are popping nicely on this card because I left the background so soft and natural. All right, so we used the Blooming Flourish Background die. That's the whole cover plate, which is perfect A2 size. Again, you can do inlay, back it with something else so it can really pop, but I wanted that soft, subtle tone-on-tone type look in the background. And then we use the poppy dies. These are super easy. Everything is like perfectly etched for you to layer everything together. And you get two beautiful stems of poppies here, the larger and the smaller. Super pretty. The design team has been creating some amazing cards with these sets, so be sure to check them out. Thank you for being here. I'm going to give you another look at the card, and I have all the links for you in the description box below for you to check it all out. There's also some word dice that you might want to add to your card. So here's another look at our card. Thank you for being here. I hope you found some inspiration.